Good morning, everyone. Today's lecture is going to be about writing essays. I know that this year you have to do a lot of writing, including at this stage writing a good academic paragraph. So in this lecture you will know or you will learn what are the steps that you should proceed on before starting to write, while writing, and after writing. So basically today we will have an idea about the writing process. So good academic writing requires effective planning, drafting, and revision. The writing process looks different for everyone, but there are some basic steps that will help you structure your time when writing any kind of text. So at the beginning, you should establish a file for each assignment. So this year you have many modules, and each module you are asked to do a lot of writing, especially at the day of the exam. So you have to train yourself how to start writing, because writing is not an easy task for you. Maybe you are good at communicating, you have good communication skills, but the skill of writing, you have to work on it to make it developed. So before starting to write, you have to establish a file for each assignment. Establish a file when you are given a writing assignment. This will help you organize yourself, because you know what are the things that you should write a paragraph about, an essay, or any kind of text. And you have to label the folder with the project name and the due date, and then spend a few minutes thinking about the topic. So in your study area, you should have a folder for each course or for each module with the name, with the due date, the topic, so that you organize yourself and you prepare yourself before starting to write. Of course, it's important to plan your approach to an assignment. It will ensure that you understand the task, you can manage your time, and present a structured and focused argument. So, let's say you have many assignments to do. So for each assignment, you should make time to interpret your assignments. You have to create a schedule, and you should plan your answer. So let's talk about interpreting your assignment. You should start by working out what you are being asked to do and what type of assignment you should produce. So at this stage, you have to take your time to understand the conventions of each type of assignment. You might be asked to produce a report, an essay, a literature review. You should know what kind of text you have to produce, and this will shape how you will research and write. The next step is that you have to analyze your question. Are you being asked to discuss, analyze, or evaluate something, instructional verbs in the assignment question will set out how you will approach the task. Now, talking about creating a schedule. Of course, you have to plan your assignment. Planning your schedule before you begin an assignment will help you to ensure you have enough time to complete a high quality piece of work. So now we cannot deny the fact that we are using technology on a daily basis. So I think that if you want to schedule your assignment, you can use online calendars such as Apple Calendar, or you can use Google Calendar that can be easily edited and shared with others, of course. They can be synced to your phone and email to send you reminders, because we are busy every day. So, and especially when we have a lot of work to do, a lot of assignments, so sometimes we can forget about an assignment. So it would be better for you to use technology, especially those kind of calendars. And of course, you have to break down your assignment into manageable tasks and deadlines. Now, if we want to talk about planning your answer, I would strongly recommend that you plan your answer before you start writing your assignment. This will make the writing process far easier. A plan will help you to produce a clear, coherent, and well-structured assignment. You stay focused on answering the question and stick to the main points that you want to make. Now, how can you plan your assignment? I mean, you can make use of mind maps. So last session I have given you few examples of mind maps, especially the chart, for example, a simple chart, a diagram or a Venn diagram, a spider map. You can use one of these maps because mind maps are useful for getting all your ideas onto one page and establishing a sensible structure. So you can create a mind map that will help you to have a clear image about your assignments and the ideas that you will include in your essay or a paragraph. So you have to create a plan to help you gather your initial ideas and response to the question. Think about what you already know, what sources of information you already have, for example, lectures, seminars, reading material, etc., and what you still might need to gather. What aspect of the topic you might want to cover, and what different perspective might there be on the topic. And of course, you have to use a planning technique that suits you. As I said before, you can use mind maps because a visual planning method that helps you to quickly come up with ideas and make connection between those ideas. You can use linear plans like a list. You can use headings, subheadings, bullet points to plan your main ideas. And this can be useful to plan out your writing paragraph by paragraph. Actually, you can use a mixture of techniques. Perhaps a visual method when you are gathering initial ideas, followed by a more structured plan before you start writing. Of course, you have to use your plan to create a kind of structure. The problem here is that some students, for example, let's talk about the exam. What happens to the students? Most of the students read the topic and then start thinking about the topics and the ideas that should be included in the topic. They have too many ideas. The problem is that they don't know how to structure their ideas. So from your plan, pick out the most relevant points. If you don't have any evidence to back up your points, don't include them. Think about what your reader needs to know. Whether you are writing a report, an essay, or any other assignment, don't include too much background material. Ask yourself whether what you are writing answers the question or brief you have been set. So before starting to write, you can make or set weekly goals. So let's say that you are asked to write an essay or a research paper. You have to set weekly goals, especially if you still have enough time to submit your paper. So in order to schedule your tasks, establish some weekly goals such as the following. So for example, in week number 1, as I said before, you establish a folder. You record early thoughts, your reactions, and approaches to the topic. And then you start writing a preliminary outline and you commence initial reading and note-taking. So this is what you have to do in week number 1. Just organize your thoughts. In week number 2, you continue reading and note-taking and you refine your outline. Of course, you have to read about your topic because sometimes you are asked to write about a topic that you have no idea about. So you have to read a material about that topic to enrich your background knowledge. So in week number 2, you continue reading the material, and while reading the material, you take note of the relevant ideas that you have to include in your writing. And of course, you make any modifications in the outline. Week number 3, further reading and note-taking. Discuss the topic and outline with friends to sharpen your understanding of the issues. So here at this stage, you have to, after finishing the reading and the note-taking, you should discuss your outline with your friends, with your classmates. This stage is very essential because sometimes you might come up with ideas which are wrong. So before starting to produce your essay, you have to discuss your outline with your friends because they are going to offer you great help, and sometimes they would clarify the ideas to you. Week number 4, you finalize the outline, tidy up any outstanding reading or note-taking matters, and you start writing on. So at this stage, you have to start writing and producing your essay. The last step, or the last week, finish first draft. You redraft daily, at least 3 or 4 times. Have a friend read a draft for their comments, correct typographical errors, and submit on time. So here, this is the final stage of the writing process. You just have to redraft your essay. You correct any mistake, grammatical, spelling mistake, any kind of mistake by reading your writing, and ask your friend or the group of friends you are working with to read your production. And then you have to submit your paper on time, of course. Now, these things you have to, as I said, the things that you have to do before starting to write, and how to organize your time. Now let's move to the next idea, which is clarify the topic. So essay questions, or it is very necessary for you to understand the topic question of the essay. Essay questions that ask you to analyze a particular topic or argument expect a thorough deconstruction of the essay subject. In other words, it requires you to break the essay topic down into its fundamental parts. So once you've done this, it's also important that you critically examine each part. You need to use important debate and evidence to look in depth at the argument for and against, as well as how the parts interconnect. What does the evidence suggest? Use it to adopt a stance in your essay, ensuring you don't simply give a narration on the key debate in the literature, and make your position known and tie this to the literature. So it's very essential to clarify the topic. Discuss question words typically require an in-depth answer that takes into account all aspects of the debate concerning a research topic or argument. You must demonstrate reasoning skills with this type of question by using evidence to make a case for or against a research topic or argument. Give a detailed examination of the topic by including knowledge of the various perspectives put forward by other scholars in relation to it. What are your thoughts on the subject based on the general debate in the literature? Remember to clearly state your position based on all the evidence you present. So this is, of course, I have been talking about those kind of essays that ask you to discuss or to argue. So basically, I have been talking about argumentative essays. If you are asked to define a concept, now defining, you are asked to define a concept, then you must outline the precise meaning of the subject of the question. If the definition you provide is a contested one, then make sure you mention this. How do other scholars define the subject? Why is its meaning contested, and why have you chosen to use one meaning instead of the other if this is the case? It's important that you provide more than one meaning, if there are several of them, of course, as it shows that you are very familiar with the literature. So if you are asked at the day of the exam to define a concept, and the concept has many definitions, so you have to provide more than one definition to show that you are familiar with the concept and you know its meaning. If you are having, or if the question, the exam question, for example, is explain. So explain questions expect you to basically clarify a topic. When answering such questions, it helps to imagine you are writing for someone who knows absolutely nothing of the subject. So this, when you are having questions like that, you have to explain something. So you have to put in your mind, or let's say, just imagine that the reader has no idea about the topic. That's why he is asking you to explain. And remember two things: to provide as much detail as possible and to give definitions for any jargon or key terms when used. In addition, always remember to back any claims with academic research. So, in explanatory answers, it is important that you demonstrate a clear understanding of a research topic or argument. This comes across most convincingly if you present a clear interpretation of the subject or argument to the reader. You have to keep in mind any what, how, and why questions, as this will help you to structure a clear and logically coherent response. So coherence is extremely important in providing explanatory answers. When you are asked to summarize or present a summary of a research topic, you should give a condensed form of its main points or facts. You must omit all minor details and focus mainly on the key facts. As a result, summaries are typically brief and straight to the point. The key is to get all the main facts across to the reader in as punchy and succinct a manner as possible. So hopefully by examining and explaining question essays, I have helped clarify the meaning and how you should approach them in your own essay writing. So of course, your writing assignment depends on the essay question. Sometimes you will be asked to discuss, explain, summarize, define. So that's why you have to approach the writing assignment each time in a different way. When you first get your essay question, always try to understand exactly what the question means and what it is asking you to do. Look at the question word and think about their meaning before you launch into planning what to write. And of course, you have to remember to read the question several times and consider any underlying assumptions behind the question. If you are in doubt about any aspect of the assignment, then clarify the matter straightway. Ask your tutor for more clarification of the topic. Sometimes some students think that they understood the topic. What happened is that they start writing an essay and then they submit the essay or the paper to their instructor, and when the instructor reads their writing, he just crossed it because it's out of topic. So, if you have any doubt about the essay question, you have to ask for clarification. Ask your tutor to explain it to you so that you don't make any mistake while you are writing. Now let's move to the next step. Write a preliminary outline. As you have already guessed it, an essay outline is a short plan of your research paper. Here, you write down the main ideas of your essay and scrutinize all arguments into paragraphs to make sure you won't miss anything while writing. Experienced students sometimes skip this step because they think they can do without it, or that an outline might make their papers sound solid or dull. But what they fail to consider is that essays are not works of fiction. They are supposed to be orderly and structured, since that is how a thesis is proven. Not with passion, but with evidence and facts arranged in the higher order. Sure enough, you can write an essay without outlining it, but it will be challenging to do. So I think that outlining is an essential part of the writing process, and all authors do it for their work to impress readers. So here is why you need an essay outline. It will help you organize the thoughts. When you research the data for your essay, you get tons of information. That's hard to remember. You understand the information flow and will be able to scrutinize it accordingly, or to structurize your outline accordingly. It will help you not to miss anything while writing your essay, because you will have a ready manuscript of your paper. Now, after talking about the importance of outlining the essay, we have to talk about initial reading. So it is very likely you have to write essays on topics about which you know absolutely nothing. When this is the case, you will profit by doing some background reading. So as I said before, reading plays a vital role in all the stages of the writing process. but it first figures in the development of ideas and topics. Different kinds of documents can help develop the topic. So it's necessary to do some reading about the topic so that you develop your ideas and you broaden the scope of your discussion. If you are writing an academic essay, you will likely need to do some form of research by reading scholarly text on the topic or subject. So reading this text could also help you get inspired and prepared for your rough draft. You may also make notes as you read this text. So creating key points and themes that you may explore later in your rough draft. If you are writing a creative piece, you may look for text written about a certain idea or theme that you want to explore in your own writing. You could look up text by subject matter and read through several texts to get ideas for your essay or for your text. You might have favorite writers that you return to often for inspiration or research for new writers who are doing interesting things with the topic. You could then borrow elements of the writer's approach and use it in your own rough draft. So, until now, we've talked about how to plan your essay, outlining the essay, initial reading. Now, we have to move to note-taking. So note-taking is an indispensable part of writing a documented essay or research paper. Your notes record information from the sources that you will use in writing your paper. Therefore, it is necessary to critically evaluate the text or articles you are reading and to make reasonable choices about what will and will not be useful for your paper. Note-taking is something which is very crucial. While reading the material about the topic, you have to take notes all the time with the ideas, because you cannot remember all the ideas. You are reading many information, having a lot of things in your mind, so it's very useful to take note at the stage of initial reading. Now, of course, there are other preparations like asking a friend to sit and listen while you present a 5-minute overview of the essay topic. And you have to reconsider your outline and make any relevant changes. So concerning the first idea, I have been stressing out the fact that you already have to consult or to ask your friends for help. Okay, don't trust yourself a lot. Sometimes you misunderstand the topic. Ask your friend whether he has the same understanding. When you come up with an outline or a general overview of the essay topic, again, you have to discuss your overview with your friend. Just orally. Just say what are the ideas that you have to include in your essay. Say it to your friend. Discuss it with your friend. When you are in a rush to finish your assignment before the deadline, you might overlook one of the most essential writing processes, which is proofreading. Arguably, getting the work done is more important than getting it done perfectly but late. So time management is a key. Knowing the advantages of proofreading an essay might help you prioritize proofreading, ensuring that you give your work a final check before submission. So what are the benefits of proofreading? So proofreading is the fact that you ask your friend to read your writing assignment. It could be done at all stages. I mean, before starting to write your essay or your paragraph, you have to discuss it with your friend, the ideas that you are going to include in your writing. And after finishing writing the assignment, you have to ask your friend to read it for you. This is what we call proofreading. So what is the importance of proofreading? Proofreading eliminates errors from your essay. This is a pretty obvious outcome. But reading your documents of grammar and spelling mistake and typographical errors is an essential benefit of proofreading. So at least when you give your paper and you ask your friend to read it for you and proofread it, at least he may notice some grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes, and then he will correct it for you. Proofreading helps you meet the goal of writing your essay in the first place. For example, an error-free essay can help you get a good grade or get acceptance into, I don't know, maybe you are applying for a college and you have to sit for an exam or to send a paper. You can then write a good academic paper and ask your friend to proofread it. Proofreading shows your professionalism. Clean and correct writing shows that you care about accuracy and that you took the time to convey your message clearly. It also shows respect to your reader. Proofreading ensures that your ideas are presented in the best way possible. The writing process is one of the continual improvements. So the more times your work is reviewed and revised, the better the quality of your writing. Now, we have to talk about writing the first draft. So a first draft is a rough sketch of your future piece of writing. Sometimes your first draft may become the final one due to it being rather satisfactory. But in most cases, it requires further work. A first draft is a way to elaborate on the main points of your essay stated in your outline, giving them a sample form. So a draft is a version of your writing in paragraph form. The first draft is when you move from the outline stage and write a complete version of your paper for the first time. A first draft is often called a rough draft, and as this suggests, it will be very rough and far from perfect. So the first draft will lead on to a second draft, third draft, fourth draft, and so on, as you refine your ideas and perhaps conduct more research. So how to write a first draft? As you write your initial draft, you should try to follow your outline as closely as possible. Writing is a continuous creative process, and as you are writing, you may think of new ideas which are not in your outline or brainstorm lists, and these can be added if they are relevant, of course. Your outline will probably contain a thesis, which is essentially a plan for the whole paper, and you should keep this in mind to decide whether ideas are relevant. It is possible to begin the drafting process at any stage, and some people recommend writing the main body first and then the introduction and the conclusion later. This makes sense, as it can be difficult to introduce something you have not yet finished. Though, if your outline is detailed enough, it is possible to begin at the beginning. When writing the first draft, the main focus will be the ideas and contents, meaning you should not worry about grammar, punctuation, or spelling. You may end up abandoning whole sections before the final draft, and slowing down to check grammar or spelling at this stage would be a waste of time. So it's useful for the first draft to use double spacing and wide margins on both sides of the paper, so that you can add more details and information when you redraft your work. So in short, when writing a first draft, you should do the following. Try to follow your outline as closely as possible. Add new ideas if they are relevant. Keep your thesis in mind while writing, and begin where you think is best. You have to focus on ideas and content, and do not worry about grammar, punctuation, or spelling. You should use double spacing and wide margin for easier redrafting. So there are some key points to consider. While an outline is needed to decide on what to write, the first draft is more about answering a question. How to write in the first draft? You shape your ideas out and not simply name and list them as you did in an outline. When you start writing your thoughts down, it may happen that one idea or concept sparks new connection, memories, or associations. So be attentive to such side tracks. Choose those of them that might be useful to your writing, and don't delve in those that are undesirable in terms of the purpose of your paper. A successful piece of writing is focused on its topic and doesn't include everything you have to say on a subject. You have to make note for yourself in the margin or even in the middle of the text, something that I think useful, a useful practice actually. This can save you time and keep you focused on the essence of your essay without being distracted by secondary details. When you finish crafting your first draft, it's useful to put it aside and completely quit thinking about writing for a certain period of time. Time away will allow you to have a fresh look at your draft when you decide to revise it. Now we have to move to talk about redrafting and polishing. So the best redrafting approach is to finish your first draft and then reread the work on several succeeding days. You are a slightly different person on each of these occasions, and you will undoubtedly see revision possibilities. So that's what I have just mentioned, is that when you finish writing the first draft, just leave it for a few times, few days, depending of course on the deadline. Why? Because when you come back to revise it, you look at what you've written with a fresh look, with a different perspective. Sometimes you might find that what you've been writing so far is not good, and then you try redrafting. So the final stage in the process of writing an essay is editing the final draft. And this stage is a significant one. So despite this, many students skip this stage due to time pressure. Thorough editing not only helps to minimize embarrassing spelling mistakes and awkward grammar, it also provides you with an opportunity to identify any breakdown in logic in your argument. Most importantly, you can confirm if you have really fulfilled the requirements of the essay question and answer all parts of the question. So read over your rough draft and revise it. Once you have finished your rough draft, you may want to step away from it and take a break. Maybe you go for a short walk or you do another activity where you don't have to think about the draft. You can then come back to it with fresh eyes and read through it. You will likely notice issues or problems to fix in your rough draft much easier if you take some time away from it. So you should also read the rough draft out loud to yourself. Listen for any sentences that sound unclear or confusing. Highlight or underline them so you know they need to be revised. And do not be afraid to revise the whole section or lines of the rough draft. It is a draft after all and will only improve with revision. So before talking about submitting your essay, I have to stress on the idea that you have to exchange essays with friends or classmates to get helpful suggestions on how you improve your paper. So discussing your assignment with a friend, I think, is something very necessary. Before starting your essay, while starting and after finishing. You can also read the rough draft out aloud to someone else. So be willing at this stage to accept feedback and constructive criticism on the draft from the person, because getting a different perspective on your writing will often make it much better. Why are we asked to revise and edit our essay? What is the purpose of this? Because revising and editing allow you to examine two important aspects of your writing separately, so that you can give each task your undivided attention. When you revise, you take a second look at your ideas. You might add, cut, move, or change information in order to make your ideas clearer, more accurate, more interesting, or more convincing. When you edit, you take a second look at how you express your ideas. You add or change words. You fix any problem in grammar, punctuation, sentence structure, and you improve your writing style. You make your essay into a polished, mature piece of writing and the end product of your best effort. Now, of course, we come to submitting your essay. You finish all of these stages. You make sure you adhere to any instruction about the form of the essay. I don't know, sometimes your instructors are going to ask you or give you specific instruction about the essay and what is the format of the essay. So make sure to adhere to any instruction about the form of the essay. And you have to deliver your essay in person to your instructor or to the correct staff member. Now, I think before moving to the last idea in the lesson, we have to talk a little bit about the thing or how to deal with study skill exam. So as you know, I have already shared with you a sample exam on our Facebook page. And you have seen that you will be asked to produce or to write a good paragraph, basically two paragraphs and 4 concepts to define. So, while writing your paragraph, you have to follow or apply the rules of writing a good paragraph, the things that you have studied in or with your professor of writing paragraph. So basically you have to write a good paragraph that include these 3 main elements. So they are the topic sentence, the supporting sentences, and concluding sentence. So the topic sentence, as you know, is the first sentence in the paragraph. It opens the paragraph. The topic sentence states the main idea of the paragraph. That is, it shows what the whole paragraph is about. The first sentence of your paragraph needs to be the topic sentence. Actually, the topic sentence is an introductory line that addresses what the main idea or thesis of the paragraph is going to be about. It should contain the most important and relevant points you wish to make regarding your topic, thus summarizing the paragraph as a whole. Every other sentence you write should support the topic sentence and provide further detail and discussion of the issues or ideas it raises. If any sentence you write cannot be directly related to the topic sentence, it should not be included in this particular paragraph. Most experienced writers can include their topic sentence at any point in the paragraph. It doesn't necessarily to be the first line. However, for you as a new student, you have to state it at the beginning, of course. Your topic sentence should not be too broad or too narrow. If your topic sentence is too broad, you will not be able to discuss its ideas adequately in your paragraph. If it is too narrow, you won't have enough to discuss. So this is something that you have to take into consideration. At the day of the exam, you will be asked to write a paragraph about a specific element that you have seen during the sessions or the lectures. So make sure that the first sentence of your paragraph is the topic sentence. That is, in the topic sentence, you have to state what are the ideas that you will develop in your paragraph. The problem here is that some students don't know how to write a topic sentence. So I am sure that you are studying writing a paragraph. You have a module about writing a paragraph. So please, you have to apply all the rules that you have acquired in that module into the study skill exam. Now, after the topic sentence, you have to move to supporting sentences, supporting details. They are used to develop the topic sentence. In other words, they give more information about the topic sentence. Supporting sentences can give facts, statistics, details, or examples. Once you have written and you are happy somehow with your topic sentence, you can start to fill in the rest of your paragraph. This is where the detailed, well-structured note you wrote earlier will come in handy. Make sure that your paragraph is coherent, which means that it is easy to read and understand, that each sentence connects with the next, and that everything flows nicely as a whole. So you have to try to write clear, simple sentences that express exactly what you want to say. Now, the topic sentence is the first idea or the first sentence, the first line in your paragraph. It should be clear and focused. It should summarize the point that you will discuss in your paragraph. After that, you have to include supporting details, supporting ideas. You have to back up your argument, with examples, with statistics, with, I don't know, just to convince the reader that what you are saying is true. You have to make use of linking words, connectors, depending on the ideas. So please make sure that you use good connectors. Link each sentence with the transition words which form a bridge between one sentence and the next. Transition words can help you compare and contrast, show sequence, show cause and effect, highlight important ideas, and you progress smoothly from one idea to the next. Such transition words include, for example, furthermore, in fact, in addition to. You have actually many transition words that you can work depending on the type of your sentence. The supporting sentences are like the meat of the most important part of your paragraph. So you should fill them with as much evidence to support your topic sentence. Depending on the topic, you can use facts, statistics, examples, or you can use stories and quotes. Anything goes as long as it is relevant. In terms of the length, 3 or 4 or 3 to 5 sentences will usually be enough to cover your main point and adequately support your topic sentence. But this will vary greatly depending on the topic and the length of the paper you are writing. Actually, there is no set length for a paragraph. It should be as long as it needs to be adequately cover the main idea. But of course, in the exam, you shouldn't exceed the limit. I mean, you have a limited scope on which you have to write your paragraph. You cannot more write than the scope you are given. I think that is clear. Now, the last part of your paragraph is the concluding sentence. The concluding sentence is the last sentence in the paragraph. It usually restates the topic sentence in different words or summarizes the main points of the paragraph. The concluding sentence of your paragraph should be everything, should tie everything together. A good concluding sentence will reinforce the idea outlined in your topic sentence. But now it has all the weight of the evidence or argument contained in your supporting sentences behind it. So after reading the concluding sentence, the reader should have no doubt as to the accuracy or relevance of the paragraph as a whole. So these are the things that you have to include while dealing with study skills exam. I mean, what are the things that you have to include while writing a good paragraph? Sometimes some students memorize the whole book. They have no problem with memorizing information and ideas. But what happens is that at the day of the exam, they don't have a good mark. They fail. Why? Because they don't have the mechanics of writing a paragraph. So you have to put it in your mind that you have to include a topic sentence that is clear and simple, focused and to the point. So from the very beginning, I know what you are going to discuss in the paragraph. After writing a good topic sentence, you have to support it with supporting sentences or details. You have to include examples, facts, anything that will make your paragraph a solid one. Of course, the last part is the concluding sentence. The concluding sentence is going to synthesize the whole paragraph. You have to make attention to or to make use of connectors, transition words. You should also pay attention to spelling mistake. So for me, as the one who is going to correct your exam papers, I won't tolerate any spelling mistake, because you are now university students. You shouldn't make any, or you shouldn't have any spelling mistake in your paragraph. Grammatical mistakes. Pay attention to your verbs. Okay? Don't forget to give me the correct form of the verb. If you are using the present, don't forget the S concerning the he, she, it. I don't know if you are using the simple past. Make sure that you know what is the simple past of irregular verbs and how to write them. If you are using the present perfect, make sure that you know the past participle, because it's part of the form of the present perfect. Anyway, you have to know what you are writing. Pay attention to the grammatical mistakes. Your spelling. You should write a good paragraph that includes the topic, sentence, supporting details, and the concluding sentence. Make use of the connectors, and you shouldn't go or write beyond the scope, okay, of that you will be given in the paper. And what is more important is that you have to know how to manage your time at the day of the exam, because you have to write a paragraph, and you have to write, or you have to define some concepts, to write some definitions. So basically we will have 1 hour in the exam. I know some students are going to say that it's not enough. That we have nothing to do. I can't do anything about the timing. 1 hour is 1 hour. I mean, as soon as the time is over, before the time is over, you have to submit your paper. So starting from now, you can work on sample exams and try to imagine yourself that you are sitting for the exam. You set the time, you have 1 hour, and then you start producing your paragraph and the definition, okay? So that's how you will train yourself not to be in trouble at the day of the exam. Now let's finish the last part of the session of the lecture, is that learning from your marked essays. Read through the entire essay and take careful note of any corrections and comments. So when you are writing an essay or a paragraph and you give it to your instructor to correct it, and then at the day of the correction you have to pay attention to any comment, to anything that your tutor has already corrected to you. You should learn from your mistakes. Learning from the marked essays of classmates. So try to locate 1 or 2 classmates who scored well on their essays and asked if you could read their work. I think this is very essential because there are some good students all the time who are good at writing good paragraphs, essays, etc. You can ask them to give you their writing material so that you can learn from their styles, from their ideas, how they manage to write good paragraphs or good writing assignments. So I think that's all for the lecture. If you have any question, as usual, you can write it in the chat box as usual. So I know that the exam is approaching and we still have only one session, one lecture. It's going to be about revision skills, and maybe the exam will take place at the beginning of March because nothing now is for sure. I don't have the official dates, so it could be the last week of February or the first week of March. That's why this week is the last week, so that at least you have at least 2 weeks to organize your time and start revising. You should have actually started the revision from the first lecture, because I have been telling you this since lecture number 1. You have to organize your time, your notes, start thinking about the exam from the very beginning of the academic year. And whenever you finish a lecture, you think about the most examinable questions. Think about it. Predict any type of questions that you will be asked in the exam. What do you mean by the exam questions will stay the same? You will have different questions. I mean, the exam is, we cannot. If we have, this is a good question. Actually, I don't have a clear answer, but you have to put in your mind that you should write either 2 paragraphs or 1, depending on time. Until now, I don't know how much time will be devoted. If you have, for example, 1 hour or 50 minutes, you will be asked to write only 1 paragraph and 2 defining concepts, 2 words to define. Or, if we have more time, you will be asked to write 2 paragraphs and you will have 4 words to define. So until now, the English department hasn't decided, so the head of the department hasn't decided yet on the timing for each exam. Whenever I have an answer, I will post it on Facebook. You're welcome, Selma. Any other question about the exam? Are you ready for the exam? Have you started preparing for the exam? Do you have any trouble concerning study skills? So yesterday, many students have asked me about the lectures. I know that some students are still confused. So you have to make sure that you have to cover 8 lectures, okay? 8 lectures. Because we don't have time to finish the whole book. We have to start this week. To finish, I mean, we have to stop the courses or the lectures this week. So we don't have time to finish the book. So you go back to the syllabus I have uploaded yesterday, I uploaded yesterday, and then take a look at the title of the lessons. Abdurrahim Zahrawi, you have to send me a request to the group. I don't know, I accept my students. Send send me a request, and then you will be in the group with us. And make sure you all the time revise the slides that I'm sharing with you in the group. So I hope I have clarified the things for you. We still have one more lecture about revision skills. So make sure you read the chapter, you prepare a presentation about it, and then send it to me as usual. I am taking everything into consideration. Those who are participating, I already know their names, okay? So you should all the time participate and show me that you are engaged in the course. And of course, those who participate weekly will be given an extra mark. No, 2 hours, no. We don't have 2 hours, Zakaria. No. It could be either 1 hour or 1 hour and a half. 2 hours, no, we don't have 2 hours. That's why I told you that you have to train yourself how to manage time. You should be aware about time. So I think that's all. So let's call it a day and see you next time, next Wednesday, for a new lecture about revision skills. See you next time. All the best.